There is a victory that already belongs to you, though your eyes may not yet behold it. You see, life is not first lived in the physical, it is lived in the unseen. Every visible change begins with an invisible cause. If you want to change what you see, you must first believe what you do not see. The secret of success lies not in fighting the visible battle, but in mastering the unseen one. Faith is not a feeling, and victory is not an emotion. They are positions of the Spirit. You may not feel victorious, but that does not change the truth that victory is yours. The invisible realm is not a fantasy. It is the birthplace of every miracle, every healing, every breakthrough. Your task is not to create the victory, but to unlock what has already been given. The key that unlocks the invisible victory is faith expressed through words. When you speak with conviction, you are not merely saying words, you are releasing creative power. The unseen responds to spoken faith. Your confession builds the promised and what is experienced. Say what you believe, not what you see. Say what is written, not what you feel. Words of faith open the door for unseen power to become seen reality. There will be moments when nothing looks like it's working, when every voice around you says, give up. But that's the moment to stand firm. The seed of victory grows in silence. The law of faith operates consistently. If you plant the right seed and refuse to dig it up with doubt, it must produce. You do not need to feel it. You only need to believe it. Patience is not waiting helplessly. It is standing confidently, knowing that the unseen forces are aligning for your manifestation. Just as a seed underground grows unseen before it breaks the surface, your victory is developing in the realm of the invisible. Stay steady, stay thankful, and stay believing. Finally, give thanks before you see it. Thanksgiving is the highest expression of faith. When you thank before you receive, you declare that it is already done. Gratitude turns the invisible victory into visible manifestation. You are not waiting for victory to come. Victory has been waiting for you to believe. Your invisible victory is not hidden from you. It is hidden for you. Unlock it with faith, confess it with confidence, and seal it with thanksgiving. What is unseen today will soon be undeniable tomorrow. There is a realm beyond sight where every victory is firstborn, a dimension unseen by human eyes, yet more powerful than all visible realities. To unlock your invisible victory, you must first understand that faith is not bound by what the senses can perceive. It functions in the eternal, not the temporary. Life may present trials, obstacles, and moments of deep uncertainty, but these are only the outer layers of existence. Beneath the surface lies a spiritual order that responds not to feelings but to belief. When you begin to see with the eyes of faith, you realize that nothing in your visible world changes until something shifts in the invisible. You cannot win battles by observation. You win them by revelation. Your words become tools that shape unseen matter. Every declaration of faith sends ripples through the invisible, creating pathways for manifestation. When you speak words filled with conviction, you are aligning yourself with divine law, releasing power that rearranges circumstances to match the reality of your belief. Many people live defeated because they speak what they see instead of what they believe, confessing weakness when they should be declaring strength, focusing on lack when they should affirm abundance. The invisible victory is unlocked when your mouth and your heart agree on the truth that you are already victorious. Feelings may fluctuate, emotions may waver, but truth remains constant. The invisible realm responds to certainty, not to doubt. Patience becomes the bridge that carries you from promise to possession. Just as a seed must remain buried before it grows, your faith must remain rooted even when nothing seems to happen. The process of waiting is not empty time, it is sacred preparation. While you wait, the unseen forces of divine law are working for you, rearranging events, aligning people, and preparing the visible result. Gratitude then becomes the final seal of victory, for when you give thanks before the answer appears, you prove your belief that it already exists. Thanksgiving is the language of the victorious. It shifts your focus from struggle to fulfillment. When your heart is anchored in gratitude, fear loses its hold and peace takes over. The invisible victory does not need to be earned. It only needs to be received through unwavering faith, consistent confession, and joyful endurance. Every unseen triumph eventually reveals itself in time, for what is birthed in faith cannot remain hidden forever. When you stand firm, refusing to yield to doubt, the invisible becomes visible, and what once seemed impossible becomes your living testimony. Every true victory begins in the realm that eyes cannot see, a realm where faith takes root and creates results long before they appear. Life's greatest battles are not fought with hands or strength, but with conviction and vision. The unseen world holds the blueprint of every blessing, and only through belief can it be unlocked. When a person learns to trust beyond what is visible, they step into a law higher than reason, the law of faith. It is not enough to hope. One must believe with certainty that what is unseen is more real than the visible challenge before them. The mind often rebels, demanding evidence, but faith provides its own proof through peace, assurance, and inner strength. Words become the tools that shape this invisible power into tangible form. Each declaration of belief sends a vibration through the unseen, setting forces into motion that align circumstances with one's inner conviction. Speaking faith-filled words is not empty talk. It is the process of creation itself. Every confession backed by belief carries creative energy that cannot fail to produce its result in due season. To unlock the invisible victory, one must master the discipline of agreement between thought, word, and action. When what you think, speak, and expect are united in faith, nothing can stand against the force of manifestation. Patience then becomes the silent companion of faith, the invisible bridge between the spoken promise and its visible fulfillment. Many give up during this stage because they cannot see progress, yet the unseen realm is often busiest when the visible seems still. Like a seed planted in darkness, victory grows quietly before breaking through the surface. It is in these waiting moments that doubt whispers loudest, but steadfast belief turns those whispers into opportunities for endurance. Gratitude becomes the final act of trust, the seal that completes the process of manifestation. When you begin to thank before you see, you shift from asking to receiving, from hoping to knowing. Gratitude signals that you already possess the victory within, and what exists within must eventually appear without. The invisible victory is not something you chase. It is something you awaken. It is already yours, waiting behind the veil of sight, waiting for faith to open the door. When belief remains firm, confession remains strong, and gratitude flows continually, the unseen becomes seen, and what was once only believed becomes undeniable truth. The person who learns to live this way no longer depends on circumstances but on spiritual law, walking confidently through life knowing that every visible victory was once an invisible one. Victory is not something that appears suddenly. It is something that exists long before the eyes can behold it. Everything that can be seen began first in the unseen, and those who understand this truth learn to live above fear and uncertainty. The visible world is a mirror reflecting the strength or weakness of one's inner belief. When a person anchors their heart in faith, they begin to see beyond limitations. It is not the size of the challenge that determines the outcome, but the strength of one's conviction. Faith is not blind. It is visionary. It sees possibilities hidden within impossibilities. To unlock the invisible victory, one must learn to trust in divine order even when circumstances contradict every promise. The power of faith does not rest on emotions or logic. It rests on the certainty that unseen forces are working to fulfill what has already been declared. Words carry the power to shape unseen realities into visible outcomes. When spoken with conviction, they become instruments of creation that draw invisible victory into manifestation. Many fail to see results because they speak from fear instead of faith, confessing lack while desiring abundance, or talking defeat while praying for success. The unseen realm responds not to emotion but to authority, and authority is released through faith-filled words. Each confession either builds or breaks the bridge between promise and fulfillment. To speak what you believe is to give substance to what you cannot yet see. The invisible world bends to those who refuse to be moved by appearances. Even when life seems silent, faith continues to speak. It keeps declaring, keeps expecting, and keeps believing until the invisible becomes visible. Patience and gratitude complete the process of unlocking victory. Patience is not waiting idly, but standing confidently, knowing that unseen forces are aligning the outcome. The moment a person truly believes, something begins to shift beyond their sight. Like a seed hidden beneath the soil, the victory grows quietly before it blossoms openly. During this unseen process, gratitude becomes the sound of faith in motion. Thanking before receiving is proof that belief has taken root. Gratitude transforms waiting into worship and turns invisible assurance into visible fulfillment. When one remains thankful, consistent, and unwavering, the invisible victory cannot remain hidden forever. In time, what was once believed in the heart will stand visible to the world. The invisible victory belongs to those who walk by faith, speak with authority, and live in constant gratitude, knowing that what is unseen today will surely become reality tomorrow. Every victory that manifests in life begins first in the unseen realm, where faith operates as the foundation of all creation. Nothing that exists came without first being formed invisibly. The eyes of faith can see what natural sight cannot perceive, and it is this inner vision that gives birth to transformation. When a person learns to live from the inside out, they stop reacting to circumstances and begin shaping them. The power of invisible victory rests in understanding that what appears impossible is already possible in another dimension. Life changes when the heart believes before the eyes see. It is not the evidence of the senses that brings peace, but the assurance that unseen forces are working toward fulfillment. True strength lies not in what is visible, but in what is believed. Faith must always find expression through words because words carry creative power. Every time you speak, you either reinforce faith or empower doubt. The invisible realm listens not to emotion but to authority, and authority flows through conviction. Speaking words that align with faith brings the unseen into visibility. To say what you believe even when circumstances contradict it is to stand on a higher law, the law of faith that governs all manifestation. People often speak their fears and then wonder why their lives reflect them. But those who learn to guard their confession discover that their words can unlock unseen blessings. The invisible responds to consistency, not confusion. What you continually speak with belief must eventually appear, because spoken faith releases invisible energy that shapes reality. There are moments when it seems nothing is moving, yet the greatest activity is often hidden. The process of victory is much like a seed buried underground. Though unseen, it is growing toward manifestation. Patience is the bridge that connects the promise to its fulfillment. Waiting is not inactivity, it is confident trust that what will surely come to pass. Doubt whispers during silence, but endurance silences doubt. Every delay carries the purpose of preparation, shaping the heart to handle the blessing. In these waiting seasons, faith matures, character strengthens, and unseen forces align perfectly with divine timing. The one who waits with expectation will never be disappointed. Gratitude completes the journey of faith by sealing what belief has begun. When you give thanks before the answer appears, you demonstrate that your confidence is in the unseen, not the visible. Gratitude shifts the focus from need to completion, from waiting to receiving. It turns faith into experience and silence into song. To unlock invisible victory, one must believe without evidence, speak with conviction, wait with patience, and thank with assurance. Every unseen triumph eventually becomes visible to those who refuse to surrender their faith. What begins in silence ends in testimony, and what once seemed invisible becomes the undeniable proof of the power of belief. Victory begins long before it is seen. It begins in the unseen realm where faith operates as the master key. Life is governed by both visible and invisible laws, and the invisible always precedes the visible. What appears in your life today was first formed in thought, belief, and expectation. When a person learns to live with inner sight rather than outer evidence, they step into a higher dimension of power. Faith does not wait for proof, it creates it. The invisible victory belongs to those who can hold an inner conviction that refuses to bend under the pressure of circumstances. To unlock this victory, one must learn to trust that unseen realities are more powerful than temporary appearances. Words are the tools through which unseen victory takes shape. Every declaration of faith builds substance in the invisible world. The unseen realm responds not to wishful thinking, but to confident speech. When words align with faith, they release creative energy that draws the invisible into the visible. Speaking what you believe, even in the face of contradiction, sets spiritual law into motion. Many speak defeat while hoping for success and wonder why their world mirrors their fear. Words are seeds, and every seed carries the future within it. To unlock invisible victory, your mouth must agree with your heart. Speak life, and life will appear. Speak hope, and hope will manifest. Patience is the invisible strength that keeps faith alive while results are yet unseen. Just as a seed takes time to grow beneath the soil, victory unfolds in hidden places before it becomes visible. Waiting in faith is not passive. The moment belief is established, divine power begins to move quietly behind the scenes. It may look as though nothing is changing, yet the unseen realm is arranging every detail for manifestation. Doubt tries to uproot what faith has planted, but endurance protects the seed. The invisible victory matures during the silence of waiting. Gratitude becomes the proof that faith is real. When you give thanks before seeing results, you declare that the unseen is already yours. Gratitude transforms waiting into receiving. It is the sound of completion spoken from a heart that knows the outcome is certain. Giving thanks in advance changes the atmosphere. It replaces worry with assurance and fear with peace. A thankful heart opens the door wider for manifestation because gratitude aligns your emotions with the reality of faith. Every time you thank, you confirm that the invisible has already begun to take form. The invisible victory is not something far away. It exists now, waiting for faith to unlock it. Believe without doubting, speak without fear, wait without complaining, and thank without ceasing. Each of these steps pulls the unseen closer until it becomes visible. What begins in belief must end in manifestation, for the invisible is always more real than what is seen. When faith stands firm and gratitude overflows, the unseen victory becomes an undeniable reality for all to witness. Victory is first born in the unseen realm before it ever appears in the visible world. Every success, breakthrough, or transformation begins with belief, not evidence. The unseen is the foundation of all that is seen, and faith is the key that connects both worlds. When a person learns to trust what cannot be seen more than what can be touched, they step into the flow of divine law. The eyes of faith perceive what the natural eyes cannot. This understanding changes how one lives, because life no longer depends on circumstances but on conviction. The invisible victory belongs to those who see with their hearts when their eyes find no reason to hope. Faith functions as the creative force that shapes reality. It calls into existence the things that are not yet visible and brings them into manifestation through spiritual law. Faith is not hoping something might happen. It is knowing that it already exists in the unseen. When faith becomes firm, the invisible begins to rearrange the visible. The person of faith does not speak from fear or doubt, but from certainty. This certainty grows stronger when it is nurtured with consistent meditation and unwavering belief. The moment you decide that your unseen victory is real, creation begins to move in your favor. Words act as the carriers of faith, transporting the invisible into the visible. Every spoken word carries creative energy that builds or destroys. The universe responds to faith-filled speech because words shape substance. Speaking what you believe when nothing yet confirms it is the true expression of spiritual strength. Many people undo their own faith by speaking fear and frustration, but those who guard their confession release invisible forces that cannot fail. Every time you declare truth with conviction, the unseen responds. The invisible victory begins to unfold through the power of consistent speech rooted in belief. Patience stands as the bridge between belief and fulfillment. The moment a seed is planted, growth begins in secret. Though nothing seems to change outwardly, the same is true for spiritual manifestation. Patience is not the absence of movement, but the calm assurance that what has been spoken will surely come to pass. It protects faith from being weakened by time or delay. In the silence of waiting, unseen forces are at work, aligning everything for perfect timing. The one who holds steady through waiting becomes unshakable when manifestation arrives. Gratitude then completes the process. To thank before seeing is to acknowledge that the unseen is already working. Gratitude is the sound of finished faith. It turns worry into peace and expectation into fulfillment. When gratitude fills the heart, the invisible victory accelerates its appearance because thanksgiving keeps the channel of faith open and active. A grateful heart never doubts the outcome, for it already sees the victory in spirit. The invisible victory is not hidden from you but for you. It waits for the alignment of belief, confession, patience, and gratitude. When these elements unite, the unseen becomes visible, and what once was only believed becomes undeniable reality. This is the power of faith in motion, the unseen turning into the seen, and the promised victory becoming the living proof of what you once dared to believe. Victory begins long before it is visible, hidden in the unseen realm where faith quietly operates. Life is shaped not by what we see, but by what we believe. The unseen world is the source of all visible creation. And when a person learns to trust in that unseen power, they begin to rise above fear, doubt, and limitation. Everything that appears in the physical first existed in the spiritual. Faith allows you to see with the heart what the eyes cannot yet perceive. It is the bridge that connects what is promised to what will appear. The invisible victory is already real. It only awaits the moment when your belief aligns with divine law. Faith is the inner force that gives life to invisible truth. It is not based on evidence or emotion, but on certainty. Faith believes before seeing and acts before receiving. It treats the invisible as more real than the visible because what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Those who understand this principle live differently. They walk with confidence even when circumstances contradict them. Faith calls things that are not as though they already are, pulling unseen power into the present moment. Words are the tools through which invisible victory takes form. Every word carries spiritual energy that shapes reality. When you speak from faith, you are not describing your situation, you are defining it. The unseen responds to speech that carries conviction. If your words agree with faith, they release creative power. If they agree with doubt, they produce defeat. Life moves in the direction of your confession. What you continually declare becomes the reality you eventually see. The invisible victory begins to unfold the moment you speak words rooted in belief rather than fear. Patience is the quiet strength that sustains faith through the unseen process. The moment you believe, the seed of victory is planted, but like any seed, it grows out of sight before it appears. Many lose faith because they confuse silence with inaction, yet during this silent stage, unseen forces are aligning every detail. Patience keeps faith alive when results are not immediate. It is the assurance that divine timing never fails. The unseen victory grows in hidden places until it is ready to emerge. Gratitude then becomes the evidence of true belief. To give thanks before seeing the outcome is to declare that it already exists. Gratitude is faith's final act. It turns waiting into receiving. When you thank in advance, you confirm that the invisible victory is secure. Gratitude shifts the focus from lack to fulfillment, from delay to completion. It is the seal that perfects faith and accelerates manifestation. The invisible victory cannot remain hidden forever. When faith speaks, patience holds, and gratitude endures, the unseen must become seen. Every thought, word, and action born from faith pushes the invisible closer to visibility. What begins in belief ends in manifestation. For the spiritual always precedes the physical. The person who walks in this understanding no longer depends on signs to believe, but believes to see. They know that every visible success is only the reflection of an invisible triumph. When faith, confession, patience, and gratitude work together, the unseen victory becomes a living reality, turning hope into testimony and belief into experience.